SuperBeard Vince Hoover, the Devil God Jamal Jones, wrestling with Toxicity. It did not go as long because I did not want to get lightheaded, but here we go. Hello there, the wrestling lady. One of my favorite people in the world. As well as Mr. B-Roll, also one of my favorite people in the world. Welcome, everybody, to Wrestling with Toxicity. It is episode 5. As always, you can find us on a litany of platforms, whatever best suits you. We have the Panda Wrestling Company Twitch, which I would ask you follow and subscribe. You have the Geeks and Noobs Twitch, which I ask you that you follow and subscribe if you can. Read the title and clicked because, yes, indeed, WrestleTok is draining our soul. It is, and I will get into that very, very soon. WrestleTok is draining our soul, and we'll get into that. But let's get all the formalities out of the way. You can also find us on the Geeks and Noobs Podcast Facebook page. You can find us on the Panda Wrestling Company Facebook page. You can also find us on YouTube at TGN Networks. Please make sure you like and subscribe to all of these. It helps out the brand immensely. We're also available on Trovo, a new streaming service very similar to Twitch. So you can go to trovo.live/thegeeksandnoobs and you can find us there as well. Now, this podcast, along with the entire Panda Wrestling Company, is brought to you by Rootless Coffee. Go to rootlesscoffee.com for some of the best coffee in the world. And with the code PANDACOFFEE, that's PANDACOFFE, get 15% off all non-branded coffees and all merchandise. Once again, that's rootlesscoffee.com, code PANDACOFFEE, all one word. Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling with Toxicity. We have a special episode today of sorts. Started a bit on a conversation that you and I had earlier, Jamal, that the WrestleTok community is a blood-sucking mess at the moment. Would you say so?
Yeah. There are days where, now today, as far as like creating content, I was, I did pretty decent. I dropped a couple of videos, had a lot of fucking interactions with folks, but most days it's just, I don't know. It's like I don't want to make anything because I don't want it to feel like I have to. I don't want to make it to feel like this is something I'm obligated. Can't hear me.
So they can't hear you.
How come? Not muted.
Weird. Not muted here. You're getting audio levels here. Speak again for me.
Hello.
Yeah, I've got audio levels there. Don't know why you wouldn't be getting them. Can somebody jump over to the Geeks and Noobs podcast Twitch? That's twitch.tv/the Geeks and Noobs and see if he's got sound there. Where we're at, I don't know why we wouldn't have sound here. Check the microphone settings. Settings. Audio. Oh, I figured it out. Let's try it now. Say hello.
Greetings.
Can you hear him on the PWC now? Microphone setting got messed up and it had it on the wrong microphone. See if that did it.
Camera falling to me.
Okay, give us one more to say hello one more time.
Hello. Salutations. Greetings.
The magic of live streaming.
No.
Still can't hear him, huh?
I'm not muted here because you wouldn't be able to hear me then.
Yeah, exactly. That's weird.
Oh, great.
There we go. There we go. Now I'm getting you on sound under here. All right, one more time, just to make sure. So make sure everybody else can hear you. Just say hello. My name is Slim Shady.
Hello. I'm not Slim nor Shady.
Hear you both. Fantastic. Okay,
Good.
now that we got that out the
Good.
way.
All right. Cool.
Uh, Jason can hear us on YouTube. That's great. It was a setting on the PWC stream, but we got you now. Fluff Daddy, welcome to you as well. Hear us both now. Figured it out.
All right.
Unfortunately, my computer. So my computer did a complete like full system update earlier today, and apparently it reset some of my settings that I didn't realize. So I apologize, but we're here now. We got it. We're here, and now we can get started.
That is
Okay.
mildly unfortunate.
Yeah. That's the wonder of a Windows computer.
Yeah.
But it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I got a Windows in front of me now.
Yeah, the Sunday. Yeah, I tried tuning into the Sunday stream. I couldn't even get on. I was having trouble, but I had a rough weekend. Don't want to get into it, but so I kind of disappeared. But let's go back to WrestleTok. And like you said before, we're able to get some videos out, get some interaction, but you just kind of it all started like you said. You messaged me. And it's like sometimes you just don't feel like posting. There's a reason that I don't post as often as I should. There's a reason I don't post as often as I should. I should be posting 2 to 3 videos a day, 5 days a week. I used to do that. And between Comic Talk and WrestleTok, I should have enough material to do such a thing. I could easily get away with 3 videos a day, no problem. But it's soul-sucking, man. It's just the amount of toxicity that I'm trying to combat, because that is the whole purpose of my platform, is to stop toxicity. But the problem is that inundates you with toxicity that you have to go after. And a lot of times, like, there's a lot of people like these that I will ignore because they don't, like, they're trolls. They don't make videos. They're just commenting to be a troll. They don't have any reach. And they're the kind of person you ignore because it's not a matter of clout. It's just a matter of the reach they have is non-existent. So those I ignore. But there are other people on this platform. And here's the thing. And I want to say this, you know, that wrestling lady is the same. It's rough out there. I only imagine it's far worse for someone like you, wrestling lady, because you're a woman. Because I'm sure you get not only just the standard toxicity that Jamal and I deal with, but then you get the fact that, oh, you're a woman, you don't know anything about pro wrestling, you're not a fan, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you get that all the time. I'm sure you get the sexism. I'm sure you get the disgusting comments. I'm sure you get all kinds of stuff. Jamal, I'm sure, gets more than I get just because he's a person of color. So the fact that I am a white man, a white cis heterosexual man, having issues with the toxicity, I can only imagine how bad it is for people that already have to deal with toxicity outside of a fandom.
Yep. Because case in point, one of the videos I had hit pretty hard today was well, 2 of them. They're both related. Was pretty much me speaking about the representation of Black people in professional wrestling, and a lot of folks had my back, including fellow Black WrestleTok creators. They were behind me 100%. Hell, even Alex Kane and Chris Bay commented on it. And the thing about it is, in the midst of all of this, you know, all of these, how can I put it? All of this good discourse, all of these folks sharing these positive opinions about it and what we can do to possibly change it, and you know, all the strides we need to take as Black people to increase our pool in wrestling, because Black people have been part of the wrestling community for decades upon decades. And of course, in the midst of that, you're gonna have the little good old boys pop up and drop the little nonsensical 2 cents in and do everything they can to ruffle somebody's feathers. And I shut that shit down. No exceptions. I don't play that. And I let people know, like in my comment section, I let you know off rip, like you get 1. And 9 out of 10, if I don't block you, I'm just gonna delete your comment. And if you come back, you going on the list. You are definitely up out of here.
But here's the thing about the block list. The block, people are like, oh, well, just block them, And yeah, that's great. We can do that. But you're only shielding yourself from a toxicity, and that person is still out there spreading that toxicity. And that's the problem. And it feels like I'm helping myself, but I'm not helping everybody else. And I do my best to try to like hinder the people with the toxicity, but there's a problem. There's another side of this too. And like you mentioned, you got Alex Kane and Chris Bay to comment and kind of like boost you up and take your side on this. And that's great. And that's what we need. But we have creators in WrestleTok. I hate to say it, I'm not going to name any names, but I think once people, once I say what I'm going to say, people might realize what I'm talking about. And these are the people that really need to be called out. Is there's a lot of two-faced people. There's a lot of people that will talk trash about a person. Sometimes rightfully so. Like, this person is out of bounds. But then if somebody else, like, they do that in a way that that person's not supposed to hear about it, where they do it on like a TikTok live, or they do it in a private conversation with another creator. But then somebody hears about it, it gets out. Panda being funny. What? They do? Yeah. So, yeah. Shock and awe. Home Alone face. Yeah. But then they go out and they make a video like, oh, there's no drama. We're fine. The drama's with you. Blah, 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 blah. But aren't you the one talking shit? I'm sure in your little conversation you had to quote unquote fix things, you just lied and said, no, I didn't say anything. They're making shit up. The reality is you were talking shit. And just because you didn't do it on a video, you did it on either a live or a private conversation, doesn't mean you didn't talk shit. There's a lot of people like that. What I've also noticed is that, hey, Kale, how's it going? I made a video calling out a bigger creator for a toxic take on something, and that video has been suppressed. If you look at my last videos, I'm getting my typical average 300 views. One of my videos is well over 1,000. Thank you, Self-Bet. We love you too. I mean, I'm about to destroy an ESPN radio station in Cincinnati here soon and interview Kennedy late. Nice. But like, so all my videos are around, I get around 300 views on average. 2 of the videos in my last 6, I think, have hit over 1,000 though, which are great. But then the video where I'm calling out this toxicity with this creator who happens to have a large following, it's only at 90 views 4 days later, 3 days later, 4 days later. Yeah, 4 days later. It's only at 90 views. And I don't know if this person decided to report me. And even though it wasn't in violation, TikTok will thus suppress it. If it's not in violation, but it gets somebody to report it, they will suppress the video. I don't know if that's what it is, but, or maybe they just haven't seen, I don't know if they've even seen it, to be honest, but they are obviously tagged in it. But it's just, it's gotten ridiculous. So now I look at it like, oh, so the toxic people, or a toxic take, can get all the push in the world, even though most of the time they violate the community guidelines, or it's just a horrendous, awful take in the first place. But that can get all the traction in the world, and that can get hundreds of thousands of views maybe. But when you call somebody out on said toxicity, that gets suppressed. So that's the other side of this. This makes it even more draining to be on WrestleTok, to be on even Comic Talk. This goes to both. It goes to pretty much all the fandoms, all the different branches and niches in TikTok. That the people that are toxic are the ones getting traction. People that are toxic are the ones getting their voices heard, whereas the people that are trying to mold a loving and inclusive community are getting silenced. Jason says, what bothers me is people who gatekeep because they don't want things to change and they think their way is the only way. I have to deal with this in D&D TikTok as well, and I hate it. Yeah, again, all the niches have this. All the niches have a problem. B-Roll says, WrestleTok is very much a pour gasoline on the fire more time than not. You're absolutely right. And it's just sad. It's just sad. Because first off, you can see the complete fakeness of social media in and of itself. You see the complete fakeness of TikTok and their, oh, we want to build an inclusive community and we have strict community guidelines. Somebody will get kicked off, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. Bullshit. Straight up bullshit. Because why is my video correcting a toxic take? Why is that video being suppressed? Why is a video where I'm trying to say, hey, look, let's not be, and I'm not even rude. I'm not rude in it. I'm very nice. I'm very kind in it. I'm very much like, hey, look, I don't think you intended it this way, but it came off this way. You may want to rethink this because you're telling creators what they can and cannot do. You're trying to control people and what content they can put out, and don't do that. But the video where he's telling people to stop making certain videos because he doesn't want to see it anymore, and he's being very rude about it in and of itself, that one's just skyrocketed to the moon. I don't get it.
I don't either. I never understood that people who have awful takes, or they spew this toxic rhetoric constantly. They get everything. They get all the views. They get all the likes. They get all the folks in the comment section, fucking drumming this echo chamber up to the mass. And someone like me, who's just, I'm just on there to have fun. When I do little satirical takes, or when I do hot takes or whatnot, they're never really in an ugly nature. Like, yeah, you may not agree with me. It's facts, wrestling lady.
That is 4 words with more impact than what I just spouted off for 5 minutes. Just the inequality is demotivating.
It is.
I want to get that on a t-shirt. It's just like, it's perfectly summated in 4 words.
Because you have some WrestleTok creators who literally get on here to just, post videos, have fun. And some of them can get the traction they deserve. But a lot of other ones, they don't. They don't, because because the negative ones, the ones who have the ugly attitudes, the ones who feel like they're better than everybody else, who feel like they're just because they have a big following, that they're the big shit. Knowing the moment you log out of TikTok, you're no more important than a fucking random penny on the fucking ground. It's crazy. Like,
well, I want to say this. This is going to show my age. There was a shift in media when the first Real World came out. When reality TV started to become a thing. And what's funny is that we had the Real World come out. We had a couple seasons of that. We had Road Rules. Then you had the other thing. Then you had the Osbournes. And the Osbournes literally called out reality TV in their first very season. Because at the end of the first season, they showed that a lot of these huge fights they had, these real major Comic Punk guy, welcome. And yeah, the Real World versus Road Rules. But if you watch the season finale of season 1 of the Osbournes, they show you that these major moments in the show, these huge toxic moments where they're fighting, yelling, and screaming, were staged. They show you how they had to redo it over and over and over again. How the way Ozzy talked and you couldn't really understand him was put on. Like, it was just an exaggerated form of himself. Like, everything. Like, they showed you right away that, hey, this is all fake. We call it reality TV, but that reality is in quotation marks. And yet people have gravitated to it. And now, I mean, with the DC Warner Brothers or the Discovery Warner Brothers merger, they literally have a 90-Day Fiance universe. It bothered me so much to say that I choked on it. They have a 90-Day Fiance universe. Which, by the way, more proof that it's bullshit. But for some reason, people gravitate to that. You look at all the Judge Judy shows and the Maury Povich shows, Jerry Springer. There's a reason that, people like Andrew Tate took off. There's a reason that, like, people like Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson and all these other people, like, they take off. It's just because for some reason, people like to see a train wreck.
Oh, yeah.
And that has spilled over into social media, and the ways to get clicks now is to be this negative. Like, there are literally people who have there are people who they literally play a troll wrestling fan on TikTok. Like, their entire platform is them. So whatever like, this person's great, or we love this person, they purposely shit on them on purpose. You know who I'm talking about. There's also people like that in Comic Talk. and I'm gonna call him out because I like calling him out because he's a piece of shit, because he's a legit piece of shit in real life. But the fact that other creators actually hang out with him because they get clout from him, Cuban Crusher, that guy is purposely misogynistic. Now, Panda. Now, Panda, did I say anybody's name? You're the one that attached his name to what I said. I didn't say a name. So what are you trying to say, Panda?
I like Jay. He's funny though.
Yeah. But see, again, Jay makes it known that it's a character.
Yeah.
But he also was smart enough to realize that toxicity gets clout. Comic Punk Guy says, whomever was on the PR team for that needs to be taken out back and talked to with a water hose. There are people whose entire foundation of their page is peace, and then after they blow up, they become a monster.
Oh,
that's huge.
Boy.
That is a big this.
Oh boy. Like, bruh. That is
Don't you reverse imply, sir, this ain't Uno. I'll pull a reverse card, motherfucker. I got you.
Boy, that was a mouthful, CPG.
Yeah, no, CPG has it dead straight. There are plenty of people. The thing, we're seeing it with some of the biggest creators, not just in WrestleTok. We're seeing it in comic talk. We're seeing it in D&D talk. We're seeing it in beauty talk. We're seeing it in book talk. Every niche, you've got people who have blown up, and now all of a sudden, and so here's the question on that: was the peace and loving nature that they started with an act, and this is their true self? Or did the fame corrupt them? Or are they seeing that some of them, because some of them do have agents now, some of them have managers now, are they being told, hey, you're gonna hit a plateau with this niceness, it's time to ramp it up? So
it's definitely
it's any one of the three, but
it's definitely everywhere. They call it like drama talk, but I don't know if you've heard of him. His name is Modern Warrior. Same things happened with him.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that guy.
Yeah.
I used to follow him.
I never followed him. I always felt like something was off about his approach. It always felt weird. I knew something was up with him, and now he's kind of, he's been ousted for a lot of ugly behavior, and it's only gotten worse. And it's like this. Some folks get so big that they feel like nothing can touch them. And I'm like, bruh, I'm still the same.
Comic Book Guy brings up another great point. Social justice accounts, it can be studied, and you could do a grade school science fair project on it with how easily they follow patterns. It's funny you mentioned that, because there is somebody on TikTok who is literally doing their master's thesis on social media, the social justice accounts on social media, and how they do follow a pattern, and how that pattern goes from working towards social justice to becoming toxic themselves. Jason asked, can we start a hashtag no toxic talk? It would be great, but it ain't gonna go anywhere, because that will get suppressed. Just like everything else, that hashtag would get suppressed. And that's the sad part of it all. Because, like I said, TikTok is the biggest, and it's the same with Instagram. It's just these social media platforms spew the rhetoric of, oh, we're all about inclusivity and positivity, and we will fight hard with our community guidelines to stop toxicity. And yet the people who call out toxic behavior get banned and get their videos suppressed and get their videos hit with community guideline violations. And yet the toxic people get boosted.
Yep.
Because that is what gets them traction at the end of the day. And here's what's worse. Those accounts, because they get big numbers and they start to climb and climb and climb, they start getting brand deals, and the brands don't even bother looking at their stuff. They just see the numbers.
Yep. That's all they're concerned with. They're concerned with somebody who can get traction, who can bring eyes to their product, and they don't give a fuck what they're saying or what they're doing. Yeah. It's like, he's popular. He's immensely popular. Let's give him this this deal on these t-shirts and these shoes and this XYZ and all that bullshit like that. Give two fucks if they're talking about some of the most heinous shit in the world, give a damn about that.
Yeah.
All they can see
C
is
C
violence, man.
CPG says they debut as a harmless take, they blow up, they chime in on everything SJ related, then the savior complex hits those accounts, then it's the suppression of like accounts, then it's gatekeeping human decency, and then it has to do something unsavory, and they have to quote unquote leave. But here's another side of toxicity and social media. I don't know if anybody's heard about the whole Gabby Hannah situation
Oh
where,
dear
where
Jesus.
she posted like over 100 videos, and then some stranger came to her house and tried to get into her house, and she let him in, and this whole thing. People are attacking the guy because he made a TikTok account solely for it. The fact that people are so blind to the fact that it's all been a publicity stunt. She realized she was falling off. She's already made multiple interviews where she talked about, I got my most traction was out when I was being crazy. Maybe it's time I do that again. So she goes and does crazy. The person who was the stranger that she let into her house, she knows him. They know each other. It's all set up. And yet there are people out there fighting for Gabby Hannah, first off.
What?
Saying, leave her alone. I'm like, no, she's toxic.
Very.
They're attacking this person for going in her house. Like, you're a stranger. Like, Sergio. Anybody see my comment? Oh, I did. I missed it. Sorry, Sergio. Hello, Sergio. Welcome. My name is Sergio. I'm not even going to attempt to say your last name because I will butcher it. I apologize. But I can say Sergio. We got you, Sergio. But, like, you see that in WrestleTok? Like I said, every niche on TikTok and on Instagram and on Facebook, all that, you see it. It is just constant. And it's the reason that I don't post as often as I should if I want clout, which I don't care about. And here's the other thing about it, and CPG, please don't take this as a call out. You know I love you. I know you're one of the best people I know on the planet. I've got a job opportunity coming up. I have an interview Thursday. I don't want to give any details away until I find out if I get the job or not. But the person I'll be working for, CPG asked me, "Oh, dude, if you work there, you got to give me the dirt on this guy. I'm hearing some things." Because this person is so positive, because this person is such a positive influence on YouTube, there are pages dedicated on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram to drumming up dirt on this person, and most of it's either made up or taking the side of somebody who has been let go by the company, and they were let go for very good reason, but they want to be toxic assholes about it. And so this has led to these dirt pages being created solely to try to attack this person and bring them down, when all they're doing is positivity in the world. And I get it, because we live in a day and age where it's so hard to look at somebody that is that positive and go, oh, there must be something behind this. There must be some dirt. They must be an asshole behind the scene. And this is because society has built to this. Social media has built to this, that we cannot accept that somebody is just a positive role model in front and behind the camera.
The old saying is too good to be true.
Yeah, that too good to be true mentality. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it's like that. People don't believe that someone can just be a good person. Someone can just be genuine.
We're all tainted. We're all tainted from it.
Yeah. And like, I'm not saying that we as people we're all perfect, but some people are not putting on some, some charade, not putting on this act. Some people are genuinely nice people. Like, for real, some folks are really cool folks. And it's like that, everybody's not, secretly toxic or, got some like alter ego that we don't know nothing about. It's not always like that. But there are so many that are like that loud minority, as I like to call them. It's hard to ignore. It's some WrestleTok creators who have mass followings, who are, they're always, trying to make it seem like they're this Mr. Rogers hunky dory type person, in their videos and such. But then if you were to come across them in a live and hear the shit they say in their lives, you be ready to puke in your own mouth because it's like, where the fuck did this come from? Who are you? You're not the
Yeah.
same person. And
Yeah.
there are, and it's ugly. Some folks are just ugly like that. And there are some folks who are really cool and genuine who don't have as many followers, but they've always been humble in the amount that they do have, and they post solid content. And I me myself, I always try to repost or share their stuff whenever I can. But it's fucked up that folks literally live these dual lives. Like, dude, be one way.
Yeah.
Just be one. If you're gonna be a piece of shit, if you are going to be a piece of shit, own it.
Yeah.
Just be a piece of shit. I will be so much happier if you own being a piece of shit. Like, for real.
Well, it's like in the videos that I do get, yeah, and that's a great point too.
It's
That Wrestle
gotta
Lady
be.
says it has to be exhausting. You're absolutely right. It has to be exhausting.
It's
Um.
gotta be.
Uh. Uh. Hold on. Sean's who sent on YouTube is blasting that Matt Riddle was just fired. What?
Why would they fire Riddle? Why would they like genuinely fire Riddle?
Oh,
And
let's look it up.
they've been building him for how long?
See if we can find anything. Matt Riddle. Here we go.
Outside of
Yeah, I think that's BS.
yeah.
Wait a minute. Something about leaked tweets?
Now I will not say that Matt Riddle is free of controversy because he's had his own
No.
fair share of it.
Apparently, something's come out about him being bisexual.
Who cares? That's not, that's nothing to get mad about.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. But I'm not seeing anything about, not from any of the official things.
No,
I'm not seeing anything about him being fired. So go on from there.
that's just,
Um,
yeah.
do not read the Matt Riddle message on air. If it's genuine, it's absolutely disgusting. What message? CPG? You need to send that to me on Twitter because I could not find anything. So send me what happened on Twitter. Um, Husky is saying about there being some crazy tweets going out. Twitter is the worst place for trolls. Yeah, because at least they're not. They can hide
Y'all
their
gonna have to
faces
drop
too.
that in Discord then.
I
Y'all
don't
gonna
know.
have to drop that to Discord then.
Drop it in Discords or somebody drop it to me on Twitter. Something. Find me what's going on because I need to know what's going on.
I'm lost.
Something to do with an OnlyFans account, but this is what you guys are talking about: toxic content for views. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It could just be bullshit.
Yeah.
It could be absolute bullshit, and that people are just using it to whatever. Here's the thing: I've had people. Um, thank you, CPG. I've had people. We were talking about how people are two faced. How people. I've had people come into my comments and say, "Oh, I bet you're actually an asshole in real life, and this is all a facade. You're not really fighting toxicity." Blah blah blah. People literally just assume that of everybody now, and that's sad. I think this might be old.
You know how people are. If it's old, it's still relevant to them.
Yeah.
Folks are digging up tweets on from shit half a decade ago on certain celebrities and then just burying them for it.
Um. Yeah. It looks like just Matt Riddle doing his thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I don't know. I could.
But it also
Uh,
looks like the person who put this out there
uh-huh.
is literally trying to get Matt Riddle fired. The person who put this out there is purposely is trying. They tag Stephanie McMahon. They tag Triple H. They tag TMZ. They're literally trying to get him fired. So this
That's
person is. But the person, if it's who I think if the person is who I think they are, they've already tried to get Matt Riddle fired before.
mm,
So who knows if it's real? Who knows if not? And if it is real, honestly, it's a thing. It's I won't talk more about it because it'd probably be enough to get us banned from Twitch. To be honest, but
fuck it.
apparently this woman was talking to him, then posted the screenshots with a bunch of tags. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, who knows? But also some of it, like, some of it felt fake. Like he talked about part of it because, well, this is a backup in case WWE fires me. Like, why would you even be thinking about getting fired? Like, what? I don't. There's certain things that just don't add up in it. So we'll have to wait and see how this goes out. But again, this person's Twitter is going to blow up. This person's account is going to blow up. And in the court of public opinion, whether it's fake or not, people are now going to hate on Matt Riddle. And it could very well cost him his job.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Like,
this is the problem with social media. This is the problem with WrestleTok. I can only imagine what WrestleTok looks like right now. I can only imagine what WrestleTok looks like right now.
Ain't no telling, dude. Because some people are so quick to jump the gun and give out bad news. It's like
This is the other side. This is the other side of social media. Because we now live in the instant gratification age, websites don't have time to vet people. They don't have time to vet the news because they got to be the first ones to get it out there, so they get the most clicks. So people stop. They jump on rumors like they're true. They don't worry about vetting news stories. They don't worry about looking into it and doing the research. They just put it out there. So it'll be real interesting. Yeah. Everyone wants to be the first to share the quote unquote news. CPG's like, WrestleTalk is just me removing kayfabe Cody as a follower 4 times a day. That's hilarious. Okay, but here's the thing. Why is he allowed back on the platform? He violated community guidelines. He quit. He was reported though, and all his videos got kicked. But his IP address is he's allowed to turn his account back on and come back to the same account, the same followers, and come back and everything's okay. Then he says more stupid shit.
Yep.
Racist and sexist and dumb shit.
Yep.
And gets to keep his account and keep coming on and keep going and going and going. Why?
Hell is fine now.
Why?
And now he's trying to play as if he's this character. Like, so it's just a character. You didn't say that when you said what you said about Bianca Belair.
It's never been about a character. This is who you really are.
This is how you feel. If you are this big old bigot, man, it's okay. It's okay. You live your truth, and I'm gonna live mine. And shit, you better hope I never cross paths with you.
It's crazy. Like,
I remember that first video he put out, I tore him apart.
It makes no sense. Like,
no.
Everybody tore him apart. My video on him got hit with a community guideline violation, by the way, for bullying. Luckily, I won that appeal. But just the fact that, his account never got hit with hate speech, even though it was blatantly hate speech.
Oh,
and everybody was calling him out for it. But the people that were calling him out for it kept getting hit with bullying guideline violations. We all won our appeals. But the fact that we were getting hit with it in the first place, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I didn't get anything like that when I made mine. Mine didn't get any type of violations. But that shit was that for obvious reasons. That shit pissed me off.
Yeah. Photo negative. What a racist asshole.
That was
Um,
like the most blatant racist comment I'd ever heard.
it almost would have been more acceptable for him to have said the N word.
Yeah, at that point, it's
Like
like,
it almost would have
commit
felt
to
less.
it.
It would have felt less hateful for him to have just said the N word. Because
Like,
that was like, I'm like, are you serious? Like,
commit
did
to
you
it,
seriously
motherfucker.
say that?
Like, you gonna go this far. You might as well commit to it.
I bet you right now, if I jumped on WrestleTok, there is some toxic shit going on, and that's just the way it is. And I'm gonna prove it right now.
Hella fun
Go
though.
here. Let's see the first video I see in WrestleTok. Take me long.
Couple of scrolls.
Oh
Couple of
no,
scrolls.
Phil. All right, so I got a video from Phil, but it was a video game video, so that was cool. It wasn't toxic.
One thing I have been doing to kind of keep myself posting and keep myself keep my traction up is I don't always I've gotten to where I don't always post about wrestling
Yeah,
on my TikTok account.
took 2 videos. The second WrestleTalk video, second WrestleTalk video I came across was toxic.
It's terrible. Again, I've gotten to where I'll post about other things. I'll post video gaming clips and stuff like that, or if there's different types of like social commentary takes and things like that. Because there's more to me than just wrestling. There
Yeah,
is. I like other things. You know, and whenever I talk about race relations and stuff like that, I hate when folks come and try to shut me down and oh, just talk about wrestling. You shouldn't do like, dude. Before anything else, before I'm a WrestleTok creator, before I'm a TikTok content creator, this comes first. I can't take this off. I
also,
can't.
like, who is anybody? Who is anybody? Who is anybody to tell another creator what they can and cannot make content about?
Fuck 'em. I'm not worried
Short
about
of them
that.
being like absolutely toxic, and terrible, like saying disgusting things, that's one thing. But if you just don't like their content, then block them. It's that simple. If you don't want to see it, block them. I refuse to get into the toxicity. I have my opinions, but I'm a 32-year-old grown woman. LO, it's not that serious. Exactly. The
That's
only
blasphemy.
reason, the only reason that I even go after these people is because that is what I do. Like I try to eliminate. It's one thing to you can ignore it only so much. And like I said, there are certain people who don't have an impact. Those are people you ignore.
Yeah,
You can delete their comment. They're not going to have an impact. You can block them. Not a big deal.
yeah, just
But when it comes to these big time creators that have a huge impact and they are
post.
spreading toxic rhetoric, somebody needs to step up and put them in their place because if we don't, if we all try to ignore it, they're just going to continue to grow. They're just going to continue to get their word out there. They
Hmm.
need, and sometimes people are toxic without even realizing it.
Yep.
And so a friendly call out at first will a lot of times wake somebody up and be like, oh, you know what? I didn't realize. My bad. Let me adjust my attitude. Let me adjust how I say this.
Some folks get angry. Some folks get mad, or and some folks also mistake constructive criticism for being attacked. Like you're not. No one's attacking you. This is a friendly discourse. We don't agree on this particular point. Yeah, that's it. And no one's jumping down your throat. No one's saying anything, derogatory about you or anything like that. It's just I just don't agree with what you said. That's that. I didn't tell you to hold this L, none of that crap. It just it's just have a friendly discourse and agree to disagree. Some folks can't do that. Some
Yeah,
folks can't
it's
have that kind of conversation.
people take everything personally
Oh, definitely, yeah.
and they get butthurt over the slightest correction because we also live in a society now where people think that they're right. Their opinion
Yep.
is law. That, and there's this false equivalency of, well, opinions can't be wrong. Absolutely, opinions can be wrong. An opinion can be wrong, and people need to understand that.
Opinions are
If it's
literally
if
based
it
on
is
shit.
if the subject that we're talking about is subjective, like who's your favorite wrestler, who do you enjoy watching the most, then no, your opinion can't be wrong because it is subjective. But when it's something objective, you can absolutely have an invalid opinion about it. If I go outside and say, you know what, I'm looking up at the sky, the sky is purple, man. No, the sky's blue. But it's my opinion, it's purple. Well, your opinion is wrong. Straight up.
Mm,
It's just how it is.
yep.
CPG says I had experience firsthand with that. Kel says people are entitled to the wrong opinion. I don't know. I'm going to actually disagree with that. I don't think you're entitled to have the wrong opinion. If the subject matter is objective, you are not entitled to have the wrong opinion about it.
Yep.
People should educate you. You should educate yourself and learn about something if it's objective. If it's subjective, then yes, you're entitled to have whatever opinion you like. If your opinion differs from mine, I might think your opinion is wrong because it differs from mine, but the subject is subjective, which means there's no set amount to it. There's no set value to it. So whatever your opinion is your opinion. But when it comes to something objective, they are absolutely, it's just it's just sad. Like nobody should ever look at their phone and think about making a TikTok and then go, "No, I don't want to deal with it." It's meant to be fun.
Yeah.
Nobody should ever feel overwhelmed or stressed out or anything like that. It's one thing if you make it your career. If you decide to become a full-time influencer, then I understand getting stressed out because now you're doing it for a living. That's a little bit different. But for 99% of us, it's just about doing it for fun and building a community and getting new friends. Like all the friends I've gotten here from Discourse and from TikTok and or Discord and from TikTok and everything else. That's awesome. But like I should never be like, you know what, I'm just going to get off TikTok for a few days. I can't handle this anymore. I'm stressed out. That should never be a thing. No one should ever feel like they got to walk away for a bit. How many times have we seen our friends go, you know what, I've got to walk away. I've got to turn my account off. I've got to walk away. This is getting too stressful. This is getting ridiculous. And it's always the good people.
Yep.
It's never the bad people. Never the toxic people. They stick around. They're like a cancer.
They have way too much fun doing the shit they do.
Yeah.
Because folks are always feeding the monster. Folks are always gonna feed into that. You know, negativity breeds negativity. In the positive people who try to combat them, they always fall short.
Here's a perfect example. Husky says, I almost walked away from this before the PWC came along. You're not the only one.
I had my moments.
I was ready to give up on WrestleTok completely. I was ready to walk away even from Comic Talk. I was done. And, but I love what I do here on Wrestling with Toxicity. I love what I do on the Geeks and Noobs podcast. I love what I do. And, I mean, I might have to take a hiatus if I get this job. I might have to take a small hiatus until I figure out my new schedule, and we might have to reschedule things. But I'm always going to come back to doing this because it's what I love. I'm not getting paid to do this. Would I love that this would be my career? Like I could do this and get paid and make good money at it? It's great. It would be great. But I'm going to do it for as long as I can do it, whether I get paid for it or not, because it's fun. That she doesn't even want to. I get it. You don't even want to start WrestleTalk. I understand that. I get that completely. Kind of already are in Wrestling Talk just because WrestleTalk because of your affiliation with the PWC and the fact that you do make wrestling videos. You're very smart to not tag WrestleTalk. I tag WrestleTalk because I want my message to get out to everybody. But I think it's very smart that you don't tag WrestleTalk on your videos because the only thing you're asking for is toxic toxic people to belittle you for being a woman in wrestling. You know,
And that
that's
shit
all you're
don't make
asking for.
no fucking sense. Because this shit happens to a lot of the ladies, well, pretty much all the ladies who wrestle talk, Wheezy, and the like. It makes no fucking sense. The dudes come in and mansplain shit to them for no fucking reason.
And
It's ridiculous.
it's just it's toxic. It's toxic towards women. It's toxic towards people of color. It's toxic towards people with disabilities. It's just like, and then it gets toxic based on brand split, based on AEW fan or a WWE fan.
Oh, that
Like
shit's so fucking.
people can't accept that you're a fan of both. People can't accept that you can criticize both constructively without it being toxic. People just want to just shit on everything. And
Yeah.
again, it's not just WrestleTalk, because Comic Talk is the same way with Marvel and DC. You see people telling, oh, the MCU is in shambles. DC is the best. And then there's people like, oh, DC is in shambles. Marvel's the best. Like, why can't you like both? Why is that so wrong?
I literally like both. I have a tattoo of a Marvel and a DC character on either leg right now. Like, come on.
I've got a Native American tribal version of the Flash and Batman on my arm. I've got Green Lantern, and I've got Superman. On my leg, I have a full Spider-Man crawling down my leg. And I'm getting more Marvel tattoos as well. I also have the Eye of Agamotto, Doctor Strange, on the back of my neck. I love both. I have Spider-Man, and I have Batman. I have an entire wall of an Alex Ross painting of the Avengers, but I'm going to put DC on the other side. Like, I have a love for both. And I also love the indies. And that goes for comics, and that goes for wrestling.
Oh, that crap there.
Oh, see, now, here's what's funny about that. I actually use that on toxic people. There's one in particular, there's a kid on this app who has some of the most toxic takes. And I have actually used that because he's like, he has tried to say, well, what do you know about wrestling? It's like, I've been watching wrestling since the 80s.
I remember
Over a
when
decade before you were even born.
I remember when I first got into WrestleTok. I don't think I told you about this. When I first got into WrestleTalk, like when I first kind of like dove in and started seeing all the other content creators, one of the current discourse at that time was folks are trying to tear apart the Attitude Era, talking about, oh, it's problematic and woo 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 and all of that. And I'm like, well, of course, it didn't age well. Everybody knows that. But
Nothing from
people
that.
more than that, yeah, like people that is the thing. Saying it to another
Yeah.
like another adult is like,
Well, I will say that in all fairness, wrestling lady, you do not look 32.
no.
You look 24 at the oldest. So, but then again, you look at me and I tell people I'm 40 and people are shocked. If I shaved my beard, which will never happen, by the way. If I shaved my beard, I'd look 12. I look 12. Yeah, I'd have to change my beard is my personality now, so I can't shave it.
Yeah, you be no beard.
But I look like I have a cherub face. I look like I would look like I'm 12. So like I get it all the time, but even with the beard, people are like I still get carded for things. I got carded for lottery the other day.
Oh God.
Lottery is 18, ladies and gentlemen. 18. You understand how long it takes to grow a beard this long? Guys are like, I'm 36, but I look perpetually 19. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Currently, like, if anybody who is of my age or close, like, you know, Husky and Wrestle Lady Panda, if you remember back in the early 2000s, when we would see people in their 40s and they looked like they were in their 40s. Like, there was no, you looked at somebody and went, yeah, you're definitely in your 40s. You may even be 50. Now, because of the fact, you know, modern medicine, better food, etc., so many people now in their 40s don't look near that age at all. We're all aging better, which is a good thing.
Am I the youngest person in this fucking chat?
Might be.
I think I am.
Might be. Yeah, you might be. 27. You might very well be the youngest one here.
Yeah, I think I am.
But you're almost 30, so that counts.
And almost
Yeah.
needs two different things. Can't help that, man. But no, one thing I didn't speaking of like age and like I don't like ageist like takes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes when it's appropriate, it's
It's
so
like it's one of those things that like the only time I have to ever put my age out there, like, because again, certain people who are barely 21, 22 years old, I've had to put out like, dude, I was actually wrestling in a square circle when you were still in diapers. Please do not tell me how this person sucks or they're lazy or whatever when you've never been in a square circle and I've been doing it since, again, you were in diapers. I lived through the Attitude Era as an adult. The Attitude Era started like, you want to say 98, 97, 98 is when the Attitude Era started. I was 15, 16 years old. Yeah, fetus, shut up. No, like I was 15, 16 years old, learning who I was as a person and, watching DX. Like I was there. I was technically part of the age group where my personality should have been shaped by the Attitude Era.
that era was created for folks your age.
Jason says we were in high school. Yes. My brother and I went to the same high school. We were in high school together. And yeah, we were in high school doing crotch chops and stunning people. And, that Wrestle Lady, we love you too. So I mean, like that, but I still can look back. I look back at the Attitude Era and go, yeah, it didn't age well.
No.
And thank God I didn't let it shape my personality, because I would be one toxic POS.
Like,
yeah, we were filming wrestling in the smoking area, which, by the way, our high school had a smoking area. That tells you how old we are.
Sweet Jesus.
Yeah. It was a teacher smoking area, but it was a smoking area. It wasn't like they weren't letting students smoke. Let me put that out there. But Husky says that 90% of the Attitude Era stuff aged like milk. To be honest, absolutely, yeah, it did. And some of it, you look back and go, "How was this good then?" Like the birth of a hand or the scene with Katie Vick. That's all I'll say.
That's ruthless aggression.
Katie Vick was ruthless aggression. Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah. Because Katie Vick happened.
No, you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about the Big Show being drug on his dad's coffin as Triple H drug it out. That was yeah.
I got that.
That's what I was thinking of. You're right. Katie Vick was ruthless aggression. That was early ruthless aggression, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Triple H was already in Evolution.
Yeah, that was weird.
Evolution had already kicked off. Randy Orton still had hair kind of like spewing into his, like he still had the little spikes in it. Yeah. Katie Vick happened like in 2000. I want to say 2002 or 3.
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, it was
so
like
the end, like as the Attitude Era merged into ruthless aggression.
Yeah, it was right in the middle of there, because Triple H was like not really involved in the invasion angle like that because he was hurt.
Yeah,
he tore his quad around that area around that time. So a little bit after he came back and shit, that happened. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Big
Boss Man. It was Big Boss Man that dragged the Big Shows. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, the coffin and Big Show was like jumped on it.
Big Boss Man also fed Al Snow his dog.
The Undertaker also hung Big Boss Man.
Yep. Big Boss Man was great.
Oh yeah, he was an awesome big guy.
He was part of a lot of bad angles. That dude was part of a lot of bad angles. Like that truck match where they were like in on the semi truck with the cages and the hay bales.
Oh yeah.
The dog pin match. He was part of so many bad things, and yet is still a legend. That tells you how good he was. And also one of the best big men in the business. A dude was athletic as hell. Him and like Bam Bam Bigelow. Those two, you look at them and go, "Oh, they're going to be
What?
terrible." And then those two were like could move like cruiserweights.
Freaking Bam Bam Bigelow,
Yeah,
it clocking at almost 400 pounds, doing moonsaults like he's Rey Mysterio.
a
It's
super high
just
moonsault too. It wasn't even like a
yeah,
big man moonsault where they're like
he
barely
kind of
getting
just
around. No, it's like up in the air and it's nice and slow, like he's defying gravity.
he
And
has
like
like this
his
little
moonsault was
rotation he would put in it too.
his
His
moonsault was beautiful.
oh yeah,
Yeah, Husky's got it right. Like Big Boss Man was one of the most
oh
underrated
yeah.
big men ever. As was like Bam Bam, I don't think gets enough credit either. I think those
No, he
two
doesn't.
guys like deserve a lot more credit than what they did. And Big Boss Man, in a time when the gimmick thing had kind of died, like the over the top, larger than life gimmick of the '80s died,
Mhm.
Big Boss Man kept his gimmick,
Yeah,
and it worked. He
he
was in a full
tweaked
like
it.
the only tweak was when he went to the all like basically the Shield look. He was doing the Shield look before the Shield when he went to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
all black SWAT outfit versus the security guard
Mhm.
outfit. But yeah, that dude was
Freaking,
Big Boss Man was amazing, and as was Bam. Those
it
guys
was,
were amazing.
the thing I loved about the Attitude Era that people don't really understand is like the mid card of the Attitude Era was just packed full of different
Oh, it was
types of characters.
amazing,
It
absolutely
was
amazing.
so many different types of guys and who just they just went out there and gave you whatever they could give you. You know, and it was always solid. Um, one of my favorite guys, like he was never really known for great matches, but when he would go out there and have matches, you think he'd be about to kill somebody. Steve Blackman
Oh, Steve Blackman, love that dude.
and
Well, part of the reason you thought he was going to kill somebody is because he legit could kill somebody, and
yeah,
sometimes borderline did.
Shane
Wasn't the
McMahon.
safest of workers, but love that
No,
dude. He was
he was
amazing.
super stiff.
CPG says
They,
it's amazing. It's amazing what mid carders can do when given time. Absolutely.
oh
Uh,
yes, most definitely.
I agree with that 1,000%.
Because
Um,
one of the most iconic pictures of the Attitude Era was Shane McMahon falling backwards off of that fucking scaffolding. And who knocked him off of it? Steve Blackman. Cracked him with that kendo stick until he fell. It's just that
absolutely
that's
insane.
one of my
That
favorite.
era was pretty nuts, and I feel like uh, most of the Attitude Era, most of the mid card of the Attitude Era could main event today. I agree with that 1,000%. If those
Yes,
guys were plopped from the Attitude Era into today, like in their prime, they'd be main eventers. I agree with that 1,000%.
definitely.
The problem would be then we'd have too many main eventers, and a lot of them would get pushed back to the mid card just because you could only have so many spots in the main event. Um, which is we're kind of sort of seeing that now with both WWE and AEW. You've got so many people that are main event status that they can't all be main event.
No,
So
and then they kind of shrink certain folks who have kind of fallen out of the main event. They put them into these not necessarily mid
CPG, okay,
card. What was
yeah,
that?
CPG brings up a great point. I don't know why the importance of the mid card seemed to die after Cena's ascension to the main event. A mid card can save a card if something doesn't go smooth in the main event in the tag division too. Let me add to that thought though. To show you how much the mid card means nothing to WWE, go play WWE 2K22. Play the My GM role. They flat out tell you that your opening match and your main event need to be 3.5 to 4 stars or more, but your mid card needs to drop down. You need to have a curve to your stars. If your mid card outshines either your opener or your main event, if any one of those three matches outshines it, so let's say you only get a 3-star opening match, but you have a 3.5-star mid card match, they
Mhm.
tell you bad booking at the end when you get for that show. This is how much the mid card means absolutely nothing right now. Like the fact that's even programmed into the algorithm of the game that the mid card is just meant to fill time and let people get a rest between the opener and the closer. Now, I also remember a time when the opener, when you were called a curtain jerker and nobody wanted that spot. until some people stepped up and said, I'm going to steal the show and make everybody else look bad for the rest of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And then the opening spot became a spot where you can actually have some huge events.
Its tag team division has definitely
dropped off, but you're seeing it. I think you're starting to slowly see that come back.
it's
I think
creeping
we're
back
finally
up.
starting to see it
Yeah,
in both the big companies. AEW has like a decent take on. They focus more on trios than they do tag, but they do have a decent tag. Well, it's up and down. It's a roller coaster over there, but you're seeing a very slow push for tag teams in WWE as well. But again, the Triple H era is going to take time to really get synced in and locked in. So we'll
of
see that
course.
as it goes. So we'll
Yeah,
see how that
because
goes.
tag team wrestling has always had this. It's always had its place in wrestling, but for some reason, at different times in wrestling history, it always falls off. You know, tag team wrestling was huge in the 70s and 80s. Had a bit of a it was a bit of a dying breed in the 90s. Came back up in the late 90s, the 2000s, like in the Ruthless Aggression era. They had a lot of tag teams, like a shitload. So that's why the tag team division, like they were able to have
But they almost
consistent
felt more like,
matches.
I think in the Ruthless Aggression era, they felt more like factions.
Low key, yeah, there would always be like this lingering third man to
It'd be
most of
a
them.
third man or a valet or somebody. Like there would always be something attached to them, a manager, something to make them
Like
more of a faction versus a tag team, which there is a difference.
like you had Billy and
Slightly.
Chuck, and you had Rico was their like little
Yeah.
manager. Um, Keeping with that, you had Charlie Haas, Rico, and then they have Miss Jackie.
Yeah.
Different little tag teams like that. And it, it- but at the same time, you had other tag teams who were immensely successful, had great tag team title runs, like Paul London and Brian Kendrick, who had one of the longest tag team title reigns of all time. But folks kind of sleep on that because they felt like they didn't really give them anything because those dudes never main evented a single Mania or any other pay per view as tag team champs,
No.
which is wild to me. Bring back man.
CPG says Ruthless Aggression had a lot of two main eventer tag teams. He mentions Melina, Nydia. He had bring back managers. Jason says. Denise says, "What would you like? What would you both like to see more of instead?" I actually like. I feel like right now in wrestling, we're seeing a proper progression back to just good storytelling and good wrestling. Tag teams getting more of a put. Like we're seeing it in both companies. I think that AEW right now is a bit rocky. They're having some issues. They'll get through it. They'll find it's growing pains. They're still young.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. And then with Triple H taking over WWE after Vince McMahon retired, we're seeing WWE get back to its truest form. So I think that right now I'm seeing what I want to see. Like I'm seeing the building blocks of what I want to see, and I don't want to jinx anything. I also don't want to like. This is something that happens in comic talk a lot, and it happens in WrestleTalk where people like fantasy book, and then when their fantasy booking doesn't come true, they get pissed and they shit all over the company. And CPG asked, "Did you hear what Eric Bischoff said about AEW?" Not this week. I've heard a lot of things he said about AEW, but I don't think I've heard what he said
And
this week.
what doesn't Bischoff say?
So, I mean, the thing is, he's not 100% wrong. He just handles it very poorly.
Like,
So what did he say this time, CPG? What is he
because
out it off?
last thing I heard him say was he pretty much said what was he was saying that AEW is not WWE's competition. That's the last thing I
All
remember him
right.
saying.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other episode.
That's
Jay Knows
that's
Wrestling. I think true tag teams are a real dying breed.
yeah.
I think they have been for a while, but I think we're also starting to see a revitalization of tag teams. Yes, they were close to flatlining. You're right, dying breed. But I think somebody hit them with the defibrillator. Both Triple H and AEW have hit the defibrillator, and they're trying to revive it.
Because
For a company that's been told not to repeat the same mistakes as WCW, they're compounding them. Yeah, that's just him doubling down on what he said before. You're absolutely right. And I mean, the thing is, again, like I said, he's not exactly wrong. Not exactly wrong. He's just not handling it the best way. Um, I mentioned this last week. There's been a lot of problems, and especially after what happened this past Wednesday on Dynamite and everything else, and the insanity of it all, and then all this backstage stuff comes out. You're just like, oh, it's WCW 2.0. They need to rein it back in. But I think the fact that they're kind of getting called out for it, and we live in a social media area. This is where one of the good things of instant gratification in social media might come in handy. They're being told right away of what they're doing, and they need to fix it. So maybe they'll be like, okay, we need to fix this. He sounds dismissive. That's the problem, in my opinion, and that's exactly what I mean. He's handling it the wrong way. He's very dismissive. He's very, and he's coming off as that grizzled old man on the porch instead of it being constructive.
He's salty.
Yeah, he's salty. Yeah,
He's salty. He's never he's never gotten over losing out to WWE back in the 90s.
no,
He never thought that would happen. He thought because he was on that high horse for a good minute that he was going to stay up there, and then he got fucking clipped.
no, because he let the inmates run the asylum.
What fucked him was the poor handling of the wrestlers. The poor handling of the wrestlers, because the way Big Show put it was, at one point it was dog eat dog in that locker room. That he's not ad wall. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, if you subscribed, when he comes back, let me know when you're out of that ad wall, CPG. I don't even know you're going to hear me say that, to be honest. Hold on, I can. Still in the ad wall. Looks like we're going to be out of it. All right. Okay. But it's like just the ad wall just killed everything. Damn it. No.
It's on PWC
now. I'm on PWC now. All right, CPG. If you go back to the other Twitch and you use your Prime subscription to subscribe, you won't have to see ads anymore. Or you can use your Prime subscription here on the PWC, whichever way you prefer. You know I love you, Del. I'd prefer you to use it on mine. Just kidding. Whichever one you want to use it on. No, I just... It's yeah, he's definitely that salty old man on the porch telling people to get off his lawn. I used it for Panda. Don't ban me from GNN. I won't ban you. You know I love you. I'm just disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. No, I'm not. No, I'm glad you used it here. Thank you for using it here on the PWC. No, it's just there's a lot of things. Oh, by the way, I missed my 8 o'clock rollover here, so let me throw it out there. For all those on the PWC, we are brought to you by rootlesscoffee.com. Rootless Coffee gets some of the best coffee in the world without having to use and pay exorbitant amounts of ridiculousness for a name brand. Use the code Panda Coffee. That's PANDACOFFEE. You get 15% off all non-branded coffees as well as all merchandise at rootlesscoffee.com. The best coffee on the internet. Now back to what we were saying. There's a lot that's happening right now that I feel like we're in the process of seeing a growth in like, I mean, just last night, like that moment we got between Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle, where they went back like, hey, this is what happened when we went off the air, and they're like cussing at each other and like talks about how he can't see his kid, like that whole set. I was like, wow. That was insane. And I'm so happy to see Triple H just allowing that kind of stuff to go down. I'm sure.
To think this is PG.
Yeah.
We're still doing PG.
The fact that, Neep, how you doing, my friend? But the fact that we got something like that, like I'm sure that Matt and Seth talked it out. And it's like, what am I allowed to say? What am I not allowed to say? You know, those guys like had real heat for a while. They had real heat over Matt's now ex-wife saying some really stupid shit about the women's division, specifically about Becky. And Matt apologized for that. That he would talk to his wife. He said, that wasn't me, that was her. I don't agree with what she said. But they had real heat for a while, and Seth had refused to work with Matt for a long time because of it. But now that they're, working together, obviously they're talking it out. It's really good. CPG, that's had Triple H's fingerprints all over it. It absolutely did. It absolutely did. And I love that we're seeing.
You can. I talked about it earlier today. Like it's very reminiscent of some of the feuds that Triple H himself has been in. Like his feud with Shawn Michaels when Shawn Michaels first came back. The way they were just at each other's throats and stuff like the promo battles they would have against each other. It wasn't about saying something groundbreaking. It's just let's just get ugly. Let's just go out here and get ugly with one another and see what the crowd does.
What's crazy about it too is it shows the level of trust these people have with each other.
Oh yeah.
Because like for you to even allow Seth to say what he said, knowing that you have trust in Triple H, you have trust in the product, you have trust that this is going to boost their match. Because now, like we all know Matt Riddle is a beast. We all know he is a true fighter.
Right.
But we also know him as the lovable, flip-flop wearing, pothead kind of character. Now, like legit, he could kill Seth in the ring. Like you're like he could beat the living shit out of Seth in that match. Like it's going to go like there's not going to be. I seriously doubt they lock up. As soon as that bell rings, they're just going to be throwing fist. Triple H loved the altercation via satellite because it brings incredible tension because you get to see both guys. These guys go insane. They can't put their hands on each other. I liked how specifically about this event was the fact that they were in the same building but being kept apart from each other. There was that shot of them fighting in the parking lot before Raw started and everything else. Like it was very much like Raw and SmackDown are becoming must-see.
Yeah.
I used to like fast forward through most of Raw. Now I'm watching it from beginning to end.
And it's good when you have people who are normally AEW stands who are now fully tuning in to Raw. And who was it? I think Sledge brought up the question earlier. I meant to do a video on it completely slipped my mind. He asked, has AEW kind of hit that peak and started to fall off?
I don't necessarily think it's that. I think that the backstage problems are causing them to plateau at the moment. And I think that the best thing that ever could happen to him was Triple H taking over and making WWE must-watch TV again. Mm-hmm. So it's going to force them to make changes. Like the fact that it's happening at the same time as this backstage BS is happening, it's going to force they're either going to have to adapt and grow or die.
Yep.
And so I think the fact that it happened at the same time is what's best for them. They'll be like, okay, look, their product is getting way better. We're falling off, and we have a locker room that is in this array. We need to fix everything from the ground up. I can't do it all myself. So I think that right now, actually, AEW can benefit from this if they, as long as Tony Khan can put his ego aside. They can benefit from it.
That's the question. Can he?
That I don't know. I've never grown up a billionaire, so I don't know if he can put his ego aside. I cannot relate Tony Khan in any way.
No.
So we'll see.
But nothing in common aside from liking wrestling. I feel like that's it.
But I hope that they can. I hope that as long as he can put his ego aside and realize that he needs to have a booking committee, it doesn't have to be like 14, 15 people.
You just have
3 people. We've talked about this before. You've already got William Regal on your payroll.
Get them to do stuff. You got William Regal. You have Dean Malenko.
You have Taz. Yeah, you have
people who would
let them do it. And
you got the personnel.
I guess kind of sort of quasi reverting back to the entire conversation has how it started about the toxic WrestleTok and the toxicity that gets pushed out there. This is where you see the toxicity in your locker room, see the toxicity of the hateful fans that are shitting on your company, take this, learn from it to improve. Instead of doubling down on what you have, being like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah. He's done that before. Tony Khan has done that before. He's become uber defensive when he's gotten called out. Then he went on to say something very stupid. If he could just take a step back, like we talked about last week, take a step back, breathe, and bring in people who know what they're talking about. You already have them on the payroll. You don't have to hire anybody else. I'm not saying get a huge writing team like what WWE is used to having. You don't have to do that.
Big Swole, yes.
That big swole. Yeah, that big swole issue. That's what I was talking about.
They put me sour on Tony Khan real quick.
And he's also done other things with other people too, where he said stupid shit. But that was one of the worst ones. Just you already have the people on the payroll. Talk to the people who know what they're doing.
Yep.
Talk to the people that you have, and Samoa Joe, Regal, Taz, Malenko, set them up and let them go. They would make an amazing part. Yeah, have Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels, and let them book ROH. Take Malenko and Regal and Taz to book your AEW.
He still got Double A on the books, doesn't he?
Yeah, you've got Arn Anderson. He was just out there for. He was out there with Dustin Rhodes and for the Claudio Rhodes match for the ROH title. You've got Dustin Rhodes. I mean, you've got people there that can help.
We have industry vets all over the fucking place
that know how to book.
Yeah.
Because there's one thing to be an industry vet. It's a whole other thing to be an industry vet who knows how to book. Like, I love the Big Show to death. I think Paul is one of the best people in the world. I wouldn't have him booking.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like we talked about Regal and Malenko and those guys, absolutely. Absolutely have them help you book. It's already like AEW's already made some steps. He instead of talent relations being solely on Christopher Daniels' shoulders, they've added more people to talent relations, which is very good.
Please.
If Tony could just take a step back and allow other people to help him book, AEW will go right back to the numbers they had when they started 3 years ago. They can get back there. It'd be a very quick thing to get back. It'd be very easy for them to get back to where they were. Yes, they've dropped off a lot, especially Rampage. Rampage has dropped off exponentially.
Rampage flat out sucks.
EDCs, I'm here. What did I miss? Oh, you missed a lot. You missed a lot.
Whole bunch of shit.
We've talked about the toxicity of WrestleTok. We've talked about the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression. We've talked about Big Men, and now we're talking about how these companies are moving forward.
These context on Big Men.
Yeah. No context. We'll just let that ride.
Oh, geez.
Matt Riddle. No. For the people who know. Okay. Anyways, that's not what we were talking about.
Yeah.
We're in. I think we're in a renaissance of pro wrestling. We're about to hit a new era, not just the Triple H era, but I'm talking with both companies. We're going to hit an era where we're going to see growth and expansion and some legitimacy back to the sport once again. It just looks like right now we're on another up trajectory for pro wrestling in general. And similar to like what happened in the Attitude Era where everything spiked and they were getting like I don't necessarily think we'll ever get back to Attitude Era numbers.
No.
Where they're pulling 6s and 8s and 9s. I don't think that's gonna happen. But the fact that Raw and SmackDown are now consistently over a 2.5 is great. They're huge numbers. And I think part of the reason we'll never get back to that is because of streaming services and internet viewing. You know, that's the reason I think that we're gonna never get back to the 8s and 9s of the Attitude Era. But So one other thing I think AEW needs to do, and unfortunately this WB Discovery merger is hurting them, because WB Discovery has already come to them and said, hey, tone down your language. They're already talking about toning down the product. So AEW might get the same issue that WCW had when Turner decided to put the hammer down. Towards the end of the run of WCW, part of that was Turner Broadcasting put the hammer down on them. Turner Broadcasting is now part of WB Discovery, and yeah, exactly. That would not be good for AEW. So if they're getting their parent company is stepping in and making demands, that's going to hurt them. But if they can find a way to develop a streaming service, this is exactly what I was getting ready to talk about. If they can get a streaming service, be it on HBO Max, if they become part of HBO Max, or if they get their own streaming service. 1, the ROH library. 2, you work with New Japan and put a library on there from New Japan. 3, your pay-per-views become part of your streaming service, premium live events, just like WWE.
Mm-hmm.
That would help them immensely. Immensely.
Yep.
And I think that another thing they're going to have to do is they might have to decide on possibly branching away from a parent company. Going public on their own, if they can get to that size, which it took WWE, 20 plus years to get to a size where they could go public. So I'm not saying they can do it overnight, but now that you're seeing WB Discovery is already, like, the second Discovery took over, they're already like, hey, let's tone this down. Like, uh-oh. Yeah. That's not good.
Yeah. And it's gonna
micromanaging is not good.
Oh no, it's gonna hurt AEW a lot, because they lean on the I guess you can call it the raunchier side of wrestling, the I'm not, I guess, vulgarities and whatnot, but every promo being hyper vulgar, and all of the blood in every match on TV, all of that. They, if you tell them to tone down, it's like, yeah, you just
okay, well,
took away the power.
I don't necessarily think they need to tone down the language. I will go, though, that I think the blood does need to be toned down, because that's the law of diminishing returns. The fact that CM Punk was able to call Moxley out on a promo about, I'd hit you, but I'd be afraid you'd bleed all over the place because you bleed all the time. Like, I used to think when Moxley bled, oh my God, he's bleeding. Now I'm just like, oh, he's in a match. Like, it is too early to go public, but they need to work towards it.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see how that reverberates across the bigger companies. Maybe WWE dials it up in response. Maybe. I think we kind of saw that in that extra promo we got between Seth and Matt Riddle.
True.
There was a couple S-bombs dropped, and then the bleeping of the F word, but it was very clear what he was saying.
Oh yeah.
So maybe. But they do need to dial it back on the blood. The fact that there's blood every single show is the law of diminishing returns. It's gotten to be too much. I don't even care anymore. I don't. Even when WWE allowed blood, it wasn't all the time. It was either a pay-per-view or a huge match on Raw or Smack. Like, it was meant for something big.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we're kind of getting that back, maybe Triple H is going to allow color. Sometimes. I have a feeling at Clash of the Castle we're going to see some blood, at least in the Roman Reigns Drew McIntyre match. If not in the Sheamus Gunther match, because that match is going to be brutal as shit. I cannot wait. I'm so excited for a 1 p.m. pay-per-view, by the way, or a premium live event.
I'm be at work.
Yeah. On Saturday? Oh, sucks to be you. I'll just send you all the results. No, I'm kidding. You'll get to see it when you get back. That's a great thing. But here's the great thing about a streaming service. You'll get to watch it when you get home.
It's true. I'm just going to stay off TikTok.
You're not going to miss it. You know what? Like, so you just have to stay off Twitter and TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
But I might even do like a If people want me to, you just guys let me know. I may do a live stream. Either I'll do it live on TikTok or I'll do a live right here on Twitch, where I live stream the event. So if that's what you want me to do, you guys let me know. Panda, if that's something you want me to do, let me know. But that could be a lot of fun,
Yeah.
as well. But it's gonna be weird because it's like, again, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon because it is overseas. I'm just happy that we're getting a pay-per-view back overseas. We've got NXT Europe coming. NXT UK is being folded into NXT 2.0, which means, by the way, 2.0 is going away. It's going to be a new version again of NXT, but then we're going to get NXT Europe. So it won't just be NXT UK; it'll be all of Europe. So it'll be very interesting to see where that's going to go. There's just a lot of good, like, I feel like we're in a upswing when it comes to pro wrestling as a fan. And
This is a great time.
yeah, dialing it all the way back to what we started with here 90 minutes later. This upswing should be something that people are excited for and not toxic about.
Shit.
Let's not ruin this renaissance by being toxic. Let's stop with the infighting on who's better, AEW or WWE. And here's the thing. Like, there's a great debate right now going on of, like, who's the better faction, The Shield or New Day? And those guys have been slightly toxic, but not really. They've been, it's like how you are with your buddies, toxic. You'll say hurtful shit to your friends to be toxic, but it's just between friends. Like, they're not being actually toxic. It's been a great debate. They've had great points. They bring up facts. They bring up things. It's been a great debate. That kind of stuff is awesome. And here's the thing. If you don't like it, scroll away. Just scroll away. But that's the kind of stuff we're getting now. I agree. I don't even think it's a competition.
It's not.
I think the New Day is far and above a better faction than
Yeah. Because what folks are doing is they're
just for longevity's sake.
They're taking what folks are doing in the argument that's consistently confusing me is you're taking the accomplishments of the Shield members after they broke up,
Yeah,
and counting them as if they were part of a group. Like, as a group, they only won 3 fucking belts, 2-time tag champs, and Ambrose's 1 lone U.S. title reign.
that would be like saying that Evolution is great because Randy Orton's a 14-time champion.
Or,
No.
yeah.
No. Evolution
Or-
was great in their time, but he was
really
kicked
held
out after
both
he
up.
won his first championship. He was kicked out. So guess what? The other 13 have nothing to do with Evolution. So
No, none whatsoever.
I don't know.
It's like
But
New Day. Because Big E and Kofi had titles before New Day started.
yeah, you don't count those, but you do count their world championships because they were in New Day and still part of New Day when they won their world championship. So
You can count Xavier's King of the Ring win, too.
you absolutely do. Absolutely, they're great, and I think they're one of the best factions of all time, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think it's a no-brainer when it comes to the Shield versus New Day. But again, that's a great debate to have with friends, and we're getting into an era where we can have these kind of debates. And if people would stop being so hard up for AEW or hard up for WWE that you can't enjoy the other product, we can have great AEW versus WWE debates.
Mm-hmm.
You can have those debates in good faith if we stop with the whole brand supremacy bullshit and being like split. Like, you can like both. I watch both. I have issues with both, but I enjoy both. It really is one of those things. It just need to, like, calm down a bit. That's all. Just calm down a bit.
You are asking way too much.
I know I am. I understand that. And it's like, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here. I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall because the toxicity is not going to go away just because we've had this podcast. People aren't going to see this podcast and go, "Oh my God, he's right. We should stop." No, it's not going to happen.
No.
And honestly, I don't know if even, and like I said, the people that are trying to stop the toxicity are the ones getting suppressed and getting banned. So I don't know how we get rid of it. I don't have a solution here, but it does need to stop. And all I can hope is that everybody who is watching continues to not be toxic and continues to try to spread love and positivity and inclusivity. And maybe, just maybe, it will eventually catch fire.
Maybe so. I hope so.
Maybe one day we'll get to a point where it's no longer cool to be toxic. It's no longer fame fulfilling to be toxic. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
That's another thing. The fame fulfilling part. Like people are giving people are giving folks massive platforms off of just being ugly, just being an ugly person, just being a piece of walking garbage.
Yeah.
Then you see some people getting deplatformed because they are walking pieces of garbage, as they should be.
But for every person like that who does rightfully get deplatformed, you're getting tons of people who do not deserve to be deplatformed getting the hammer because they're calling out toxicity.
What's the old saying? Cut off one head, two girls in this place.
Yeah. Yeah, toxicity is like a hydra. But we can be like Hercules and find a way to kill it. There is a way to do it. So we just got to figure it out. And I think the best way to do it is continue to do what we're doing. I understand, like, we have to take breaks from TikTok and other things because it is so toxic and it's so degrading and it's so debilitating that we have to take breaks. And do that for your mental health. Don't force yourself. Nobody force yourself to be on social media. If you feel you need a break, then take a break. But whenever you come back, just continue your positive message. Do what you can.
Yep.
That's all we can do at this point.
Most definitely, because I mean, I've had stints where I will not post. I will just be a content consumer and just I sit and chill out, and watch other people's content. And
I know we're almost
good.
done. Yeah, I got somebody at my door. So, excuse me for just a moment, guys. Jamal, the floor is yours. I'll be right back.
Right. Maybe it's pizza. I'm calling pizza. But no, I hopefully we can get to a point where the next generations will be able to have their fandoms in everything from professional wrestling to comics and do so in a positive sense. I don't want to see people get bullied because they like certain things or certain wrestlers and comic book characters, et cetera, et cetera. It's not fun trying to be a fan of something when people constantly bear down on you for it while they're fans as well. Like two people are not always going to agree. That's never going to always that's never going to be happening 100% of the time. Folks will agree on occasion, but there's not going to be this mass echo chamber all the time. Uh, we 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 want to see people enjoy themselves when they go to live events, when they go to pay-per-views and such. And I think it was CPG or McGruber said that folks were literally just there to hate the program, just to hate it. So you spent hard-earned money to come and boo, like to just come and shit on it. Makes no fucking sense. Some people are so inherently toxic. It's not even necessary. Was it pizza?
Well, that was weird.
Was it pizza?
No, it was a door-to-door security system salesman at 8:40 at night.
Who the fuck sells door-to-door security?
My neighborhood's full of those door-to-door guys for everything. Solar energy, new roof, security system, internet, satellite. There's so many of them in my neighborhood. But the fact that they came this late at night was weird. I had to actually, I literally had to sign a "do not come here" thing ever again because I don't want them.
I live in Memphis. If you hear somebody tapping on your door super late at night, you go to the door prepared. If you
I
catch
did
my
have
drift.
I do have a bat by it. So I mean, I don't own a gun, but probably should get one.
Well,
Um,
I call them t-shirt cannons because you're going on one if I if I pull it.
sorry about that, guys, but I'm back. Um, weird. Where
That's
were
weird,
we?
bro.
Uh, no, I just at the end of the day, like we're living in a brand new era of wrestling that is going up and up and up. Why can't we get in that same trajectory as fans and as content creators and just move towards building better communities? Let's follow the renaissance here and make a WrestleTok renaissance as well. And not just WrestleTok. Let's just do it for all the niches. Let's do it for all of social media. Let's work towards getting rid of this toxic, disgusting, negative thing being what gets people clout. I think that's part of it. Like, I think we've got to stop rewarding negativity at the end of the day.
That's a big part right there.
Yeah, it gets rewarded. Well, I know, like, we mentioned this early on about how brands just look at numbers and don't care about the person. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a affiliate of Coldest Water. Coldest Water makes these great thermoses right here out of Florida. They're absolutely amazing. When I first joined up as an affiliate, they had a creator on there that was racist and a bigot and just a terrible person. That person did get deplatformed eventually, by the way. But like I contacted Coldest Water and told them that I was going to drop my affiliate status and then not be a part of their team if they didn't do something about this person. They finally investigated and got back to me and said, "Oh, we didn't realize this person is toxic. We've dropped them from our thing." But it's part of the reason that I don't push my affiliate hard. Like I don't ever like. You can go to coldestwater.com and use the code SuperBeard for 20% off, but I don't ever push it. Why? Because I don't trust the brand anymore. Like, and that's what worries me is these brands. They all look at numbers. They don't look into the content. I think that like a difference is Rootless Coffee, our sponsor here on the PWC. They know the people. It isn't about numbers. They joined up when the PWC didn't actually technically exist. They were ready to support us from day one.
Yeah, we didn't even have our first episodes of any of these shows out yet.
Yeah. So I think that part of what we can do is maybe start supporting brands that pay attention to that kind of stuff, like Rootless Coffee.
Yeah.
And so that would help. And then the creators who are positive, start pushing them more, not just our own stuff, but and that, this goes back to like Yelp. Like it's so hard to find good reviews of restaurants on Yelp because it's so much like when you have a good experience, you're supposed to go to a restaurant and have a good experience. You don't think you need to talk about it, whereas a negative experience, you're definitely going to say something. Camera froze as we get towards. There it goes. Zoomed
Yeah,
in again.
because if somebody because no one goes on Yelp to be like, hey, this restaurant was awesome. Like, no, like I remember the trend where folks will make the little memes or whatnot, saying like, you know what, I'm going to talk about this on Yelp. It's like, oh no, it was instantly bad news. That was the automatic bad news. If someone said they were going to put a Yelp review out on the restaurant, it means they were going to talk bad about it.
Yeah. So maybe that's part of how we do this. We start a trend of positive reviews. Positive reviews of restaurants, positive reviews of businesses, positive reviews of wrestling, positive reviews of movies. And if you don't like the product, then you don't talk about it.
It's like just like Simon Miller, he tries to find the best out of everything. He does his best to try to find something good in all of the wrestling programs that he watches.
He is
And
such
if
a
it's something
standout.
that's just yeah, but if it's something that's just terrible, he can't avoid it. But if he can find even the slightest decent takeaway from it, he'll always, give it his props. And that's something I've always liked about Simon Miller. I
Yeah, the rest
personally
of
feel like
what
he
of
needs to.
the rest of what culture has become just like Eric Bischoff, the salty old man on the porch.
Yeah.
And they still to this day, talk shit about Vince McMahon, even though he's no longer part of the business. And it's like, shut up. Like,
My
stop.
thing is, what culture slowly started to decline as far as like, the way they presented themselves after all of the folks who are now cultaholic left.
Yeah.
It was a it was like a just slow creep downwards, this downward spiral almost. And the only person who managed to remain positive or remain consistent in their content was Simon Miller. People love the guy,
He's the best. I
and
love him.
yeah, most definitely. Now, cultaholic is not necessarily better, but
Yeah.
it's
They
they
went over like the
essentially.
positive people went over there, but then they got bitter over there.
Mhm. Because
So
they
it's
don't
not
have the
gonna.
same traction. They don't have the same traction because cultaholic is all about wrestling. Woke culture has multiple platforms.
Yeah. I almost wrote for them. Like I almost actually became a writer for What Culture. And then like the more I looked into it, and the more I was like, it's just they want so bad to just again, fame chase and negativity gets them there better, or clickbait gets them there better,
Yeah,
or just making up rumors gets them there faster. And I mean that's why I left Screen Geek. I'm no longer a writer for Screen Geek because they are finally fallen down that rabbit hole of, well, I'm just gonna have to make stuff up, or I'm gonna have to focus on the negativity to get more, you know, to get more ad revenue, to get more clout, to get more clicks. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be a part of that.
it's like that. It's like that. Some folks get to a certain point in their careers where they get to a certain height, whether it be fame or followers or whatnot, and they just start becoming toxic and ugly. There's this one streamer on Twitch. His name is Nightblue. He plays League of Legends, and I followed him for a long time. But after he did his face reveal, because he used to do faces, he would just have his logo up there, and he would just talk while he played, and just do hilarious commentary, and it was great. But it was after he did his face reveal and everything, he just started just becoming this self-centered piece of garbage, using his platform to get other people who he would run into on League who would make him bad. He'd get them banned because he knew someone who worked for um, the company that ran League. He knew somebody who worked there as I guess you can call him like a mod or something like that, who had
Yeah.
that kind of pool to get someone's account pool knocked off, and he started abusing that. After that, I unsubbed. I couldn't do it anymore because I was like, what kind of person does that?
Because unfortunately, that's what gets them the fame they want. It's
And
sad.
he
It
used to
really is
call out
sad.
people. He used to call out people for that shit, and then he started doing it.
It's almost like that line from Dark Knight: "You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain."
Hey,
And I'll tell you what, I'd much rather die a hero.
oh yeah,
I've seen enough toxicity in my life. I've been a part of toxicity. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect. I've been a part of toxicity. I've been a part of that stuff. I've done things that I'm not proud of, but I've owned up to them. And it's one of these things that, like, as the world realizes that mental health is an actual issue and something, I think that maybe, maybe we're working towards a better world. Maybe, I don't know. But it's got to start small, and it's got to start with us. And so we just got to keep trying. But at the same time, if you ever feel the need to just be like, to take a step back, do it. Do it. Unless you make a living at this, unless you are seriously an influencer who is full time and actually makes your living and pays your bills based on this, where you don't have the uh, ability to take the time off, take the time off.
mhm.
If this is not what you, if this is not your main income, if this is not how you make a living, and you feel overwhelmed, that's okay. Take the time off. You'll be fine. And then when you come back, just continue to be positive. Don't fall down the trap of becoming negative. Don't ask for violence. Don't go the route of toxicity for the sake of clout and for the sake of masking your anxiety and masking, your mental state, or even mimicking your mental state. Because if you're in a bad spot, maybe don't create a video. Just take the step back.
I've had to do that a couple of times where I'll just have a whole two days or so to just like beat myself. Just like
Yeah.
I don't want to make anything today, and
Like I said,
I'll have to.
like I said, I had a rough weekend, so I didn't make any TikToks.
My weekend
I wasn't focused on. I ended up having to cancel. I couldn't go to the Real Pro Wrestling show in Fort Myers because something had come up and I had to take care of it. And so I wasn't in a good place mentally for the weekend, and so I just didn't make any TikToks. That's all.
Yeah, that's understandable, man.
And
You
I'm
are
okay.
human.
I'm fine. Like I'm not hurt by it. It is what it is. And I'll be back to making TikToks probably later this week because like I said, I've got a big interview coming up Thursday. I may wait until after that before I do anything else, just so I can see what's going on with that, because that could determine whether or not I continue to make TikToks or not. It depends. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the only thing we got to do, we have to stop feeding the dragon that is toxicity, and we need to start feeding the unicorn that is positivity, because it feels like it's a unicorn right now. It feels like it's something that's rare, almost non-existent. But we'll get back to it. And I think that in focused in the wrestling world, like I said, we're in a renaissance area. We're in almost an age of enlightenment, as it were, where we're going to see wrestling start to pick back up and become this big thing again, and we can build to an absolutely wonderful WrestleTok. We just focus on the positive, and when it comes to something negative, we properly and constructively criticize instead of going the negative toxic route. So that's what we're going to be at. As we wrap up the show, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you guys for sticking around with us for these last 2 hours. Coming up is Outside of Brand with Phil and his guys. So make sure you stick around for that. That'll be available on the PWC Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter, as far as I know. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. As always, if you're following us on whatever, if you're on the PWC Twitch or if you're on the Geeks and Noobs Twitch, hit that follow button, hit that little heart. If you feel so inclined and helpful, please subscribe. Thank you, That Wrestling Lady. It's always great to have you here. Love you so much. Love all of you so much. If you're watching this on the TGN Network's YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you know every time we go live. If you're watching this on Facebook, hit that thumbs up. As always, we love you all, and we can't wait for next week when we get to talk more about this kind of stuff and bring more positivity to the wrestling side of things. So on that note, we see you next week.